Today, I want to welcome a new affiliate to the show. The new affiliate is Gantt Pro, and Gantt Pro is a online project management solution. It's not just a Gantt; it's more than that because I'd assumed differently until recently. It helps with many of our PM organization and responsibilities from task planning and management, progress and time tracking, set up deadlines, team collaboration, and resource management, and loads of other stuff as well. Um, and the way that it is structured is it's kind of a simple interface. Online, you've got the collaboration capability there, which means that you're not having to send different versions of plans around and things like that. They've also, the way that they've structured it, you can use multiple different views of the data that you've got there. So if you're looking at it and you're looking at it from a typical project manager Gantt chart view, it's there. If you want the team and you want to run a Kanban board and progress on things, it's there. If you want to do it on a calendar just to see where you progress. So very similar to some other items out there, products out there that are kind of a lot more wieldy and kind of more stuff going on. It's reasonably priced as well, and you can get a 14-day trial, so there's no risk really. $7.99 a month basic and $12.99 for their pro, and then it goes up into business and enterprise where you get increased features, portfolio management and customization and single sign-on, integration and things like that. But depending on what you want, it's worth giving it a quick poke and have a try, and used all around the world. So if you are interested in having a try at least, pop along to ganttpro.com. That's GANTTPRO.com/go/Nigel Creaser. Or if you're on the video, the QR code should be popping up anytime now. So yeah, welcome Gantt Pro. Thank you for your support, and everyone out there, give it a go. Cheers then. Bye. I forgot to mention, you can stay on to the end of the show, and there's a demo of Gantt Pro on there, so you can have a listen and watch that. If you're a listener, it may not make sense, might make sense. You might need to jump onto YouTube and have a look at it, or onto the Spotify video feed. Anyway, enjoy. I'll leave you alone now. Cheers then. Bye. Well, I'm delighted to welcome Jurriaan Kamer to the show. Jurriaan is a Dutch organizational change expert focused on applying modern methods to unblock organizations and improve their outcomes. He helps leaders make more impact by eliminating ineffective strategy, pointless meetings, bureaucratic structures, and slow decision making. We'd all love that. He's been in and around the most radical adaptive organizations globally, including ones without managers and high levels of autonomy. As a PM, that makes me really nervous. Over the last decade, Jurriaan has worked as a speaker, author, and consultant, and he co-founded Unblock, a modern management consultancy that works with leaders worldwide. His first book, The Business Fable Formula X, How to Reach Extreme Acceleration in Your Organization, is inspired by the fast-moving and fast-innovating world of Formula One motor racing. And Forbes named it one of the 5 must-read books for today's uncertain market. And literally this week, as we're talking now, a matter of days ago, his second book's being released, Unblock, The Clear Way for Results and Develop a Clear Way for the
Clear the way. Yeah.
for results and develop a thriving organization. I'd be dangerous if I could read. A practical guide for leaders who want an organization with more ownership, faster decisions, fewer meetings, and less bureaucracy, leading to significantly better outcomes. Jurriaan, I've slaughtered most of that, but welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nigel.
Tell us a little bit about where you are and a little bit more background there. There's a tantalizing background that we've got there.
Yeah, so I live in the Netherlands. So if you're wondering what's that wonky accent, it's Dutch. But yeah, I've worked a lot across the world, so I have kind of mastered my own version of English. Yeah, I live here with my wife and 2 daughters. I stumbled into this work after starting out as as an IT project manager myself, actually, a long time ago, and I became fascinated by agile ways of working first. Experimented with that over a decade ago in lots of different contexts, and then I started pointing my agile philosophy and agile toolkit towards the world of management and trying to get rid of some of the unhelpful management structures that we sometimes have to face, especially if you're in IT, you're trying to accelerate, and the rest of the organization is somehow not getting it and not compatible. So yeah, and then for a long time I've experimented with lots of different practices from lots of different management methodologies. So like agile is one of them, but also schools of holacracy, sociocracy, lean, all sorts of practices that I've kind of put together in a mixer and figured out what works and what doesn't work in different contexts, and that's my thing.
Brilliant. That sounds right up there. Certainly up my street of trying to understand stuff and teams, because I know I find I'm IT, 25 years or more I've been in IT project management, and um, it's got the agile sort of change of things is quite scary from a mindset of mine of I like my Gantt charts, I like my
Hmm.
what people call waterfall project, but I like my sort of serial deliveries. But again, you kind of parallelize stuff along it. The bit that I find is how do you that management between you've got an organization that has goals and has targets and has a mission,
Hmm.
and then you've got the people doing the work, and then you've got all us middle managers in the middle
Yeah.
who, in quotes, don't contribute. Um, had and the idea of autonomy is like, yeah, that'd be brilliant, but would anything get done?
Hmm.
And then, in order to get things done, you have to talk to people, you have to communicate. Therefore, you have meetings. And I love your little sign over your shoulder there. I tried
Yeah.
to be active once, but I got stuck in meetings. Do you know what? I can feel that it's kind of like, yeah, we want to innovate, but hang on, here's the process and structure for how you innovate, and you
Yeah.
must do this, and you've got to fill in 500 forms in triplicate before you can actually
Hmm.
get the funding to do that innovation or the time or someone say, yeah, that's okay, and then you go, can't be bothered. I'll carry on doing with it. It's too hard.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you want to just talk about that a little bit about that, about that that autonomy?
Hmm.
Because in my mind, you can't have a completely autonomous organization, but how do you do that? That's a really 5 minute question, isn't it? Really to answer.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like we have time. To me, autonomy has to be paired with alignment. A big part of my book, I talk about aligned autonomy as one of the core concepts. So creating an organizational environment where you can have autonomous teams or autonomous roles chasing after goals, deciding mostly how they are going to do that, how they're going to try to influence those metrics and outcomes and business outcomes that they need, while at the same time being aligned to the overarching organizational strategy. And it's a sticky problem. Like a lot, but the companies that have figured it out are very successful. So if you look inside some of those methodologies that I talked about, but also if you go look at some of the fast-moving, innovative companies, including Facebook and Spotify, and but also the Chinese white good manufacturer Haier, like all of them are based on the idea of aligned autonomy. It's a principle. It's almost like a first principle underneath. And yeah, so it's like it's not easy to do that, but it's a big unlock if you're able to get there. And I think, yeah, what does that do to the job of management and project management specifically? Well, in the ideal like fairy tale world, but sometimes fairy tales come true, right? You have autonomous teams that have high levels of strategic awareness, so understanding where the company roughly wants to go to. They have a clear domain of ownership, like we are responsible for improving this feature, or we are responsible for improving this part of the customer journey, and they among themselves manage and decide how to get there. They run experiments, they learn, they follow metrics, and they build their own backlog basically of work that they're doing. And if you're able to, so theoretically, that means that there's not a lot of project management going on. The teams mostly manage themselves. The reality is, of course, that there's often dependencies, there's external stakeholders, there's internal stakeholders, there's complexity, there's multiple teams trying to chase a bigger thing. And that's where it's helpful to have coordination, like what project managers can add. Then they will add value there. And it just takes away some of the burden of otherwise the teams have to do that, right? So, yeah, that's how I would answer that. I'm just going all over the place, but tell me where you want to go.
No, that's it. It's interesting because it is that acknowledgement that there is, um, and I suppose it works on the size and scale of your organisation, don't you? You go back to got kids, and I know my daughters, if there are a group of them there, there's four of them there. My two daughters and their two friends, they will be outside when they were younger. They'll come up with a game to play, and they're playing a game, and they've decided they want to have some fun. They decided they want to do
Yeah,
something. They work it out themselves. I'm not sitting there teaching them how to entertain themselves and have fun. And they work in a collaborative manner. They go,
yeah,
well, I do this, if you do that. And you get that thing, and you'll get arguments and disagreements, and someone wants to do this, someone will get disgruntled, and you get all those different things.
yeah,
And whilst we're children, there are some basic fundamentals in communication and interaction with other humans, isn't there?
yeah.
That the fact that as that gets bigger, so I suppose you get to the football team sort of thing. If you've got a football team and you've got 11 kids there, and you say, well, just go and do it, well, you see it as a 4-year-old running after one ball.
Hmm.
Everybody, including the goalkeeper, all wants to kick the ball and
Yeah,
be the striker and be the David Beckham.
yeah,
So then you have to put that structure in,
yep,
and then that structure becomes hierarchical. So you'll have someone who leads the defence, someone who leads the midfield. But then there's autonomy within those teams of the fact that you'll have a defender who one will run out to tackle, that someone drops in to cover their place, and total
yep.
football. And I'm talking to a Dutch person, we start talking total football in a minute. But uh, this is where I kind of find it where I see a lot of stuff online which talks about, right, it infers that you just get rid of every manager because every manager's not useful,
Hmm.
and just push it down to the teams and they will be brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think, as you say, it's a little bit fairy tale
Well,
from
it's
that
it's a
point.
balancing act. I think it's like a pendulum swing, right? It's like you say some radical things to start things moving.
Yeah,
The work of management, like the management work, even in a self-managing team, still exists. Sometimes that work is taken over by transparency.
yeah,
So everybody can just look into the system and understand the status and doesn't need to go to the manager to ask for it. Sometimes there's other forms of automation so that teams know what the next thing is that they need to do just by looking at a system or by organizing a peer-to-peer mini conference, right? And then that part is removed. But it's all about like management. To me, is all about creating the conditions for success. And so if you go back to the football metaphor, the trainer definitely has the decision right to decide which player is going to be in what role. But the moment the game starts, of course they might be shouting from the sidelines, and they can do a swap.
yeah.
Is it called a swap? Or what does it mean? A player goes
So
out.
substitute.
Substitute. There you go. Yeah, I was looking for that word. So they decide the substitutes, but overall they don't have control over how the game is being played. That's up to the players now, and the players have to communicate among themselves, and they have to shout to each other so they know the ball is coming, and they have to look at each other, and they run and they have roles across the field. So the trainer there sets the condition, but is not the one controlling the game. And I think, and that's healthy. Like it wouldn't make sense if every player would have an earpiece and the trainer would just direct everybody. You walk 10 meters now to the left, and then you shoot the ball at an angle of 45 degrees. You go, and that's how some of the more traditional project management or management in Taylorist times was actually the way it was. That was how it was, right? It was like the workers just did the work, and the managers decided how the work was going to do, and the workers were just order takers and just following instructions. So if you go back all the way to very traditional project management and IT, it was about creating high level of specification, documentation of what needs to be built. Then the project managers trying to dividing the task and giving each individual person or worse, call them resource a task, and then checking if that's happening on schedule and talking to people if it's not on schedule, and then that adds up to the thing, and that means you're like in the work. You're almost like the chess player, and you're moving pieces on the board. Rather than being more like a designer of a system of roads, which is what I believe more in, where you think about like how can I let this work happen automatically even if I'm away? How can I remove myself from the actual work of day to day? How can I create transparency? How can I make sure that people know what their role is, etc. And I think that's the type of work that will remain and is actually super valuable.
Yeah, um, it's interesting because I try to, as a project manager, I know I've been caught out before now where, and I'm obviously doing something wrong at times. It's unbelievable for people to say when they know me that I do something wrong. But where I will set an expectation, and I expect people to just get on with some stuff
Hmm.
sometimes, and they would do it without my direction. Now, I don't know if sometimes it's the teams I'm working with that are used to having a different approach, but I kind of go, right, there's what we're going for by that date. Can we do it by that date? Great, get it done. And then you'll get something where previously and historically I'll have something where someone's come back to me going, yeah, that's all done. Brilliant. Now we can do that now. And they're like, oh, no, we've got this, and this to do now. And no one's mentioned it. No one's planned it. No
Hmm.
one's
Hmm.
agreed to do it. And I'm sitting there just going
Frustrating. Yeah.
crazy. Guys, just tell me what it is
Yeah.
and I'll hold you to account for what you've got to do. But you do it. And then you end up having to get in there and you sit going, right, tell nearly like you're saying, 10 yards left, 10 yards right. And
Mm.
I'm an idiot. I don't know this stuff. They're brilliant. This is the guys who technologists that I work with. They know this stuff.
Mm.
And me telling them to do something and them taking direction for me is a bad idea because I'll direct them to go, well,
Yeah.
use basic. You know what I mean? Just it's not, and it's that management skill. How do you think it changes? And how would I be better at what I'm
Mm.
doing there? Setting that expectation and coaching these people.
Yeah.
How can things move more to that uh, being that control freak PM
Yeah.
to being a that as you say that aligned autonomous leader?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great question. I think one of the challenges of, especially in IT and software development, is that the work resembles more an art form than it is like a binary thing. Like you're programming computers, but the work of development is highly complex, meaning that things will be unexpected. There will be surprises. There will be discoveries that they make along the way when working on this, and that's usually frustrating for somebody who just wants to get something done by a certain date because it's very unpredictable sometimes. I mean, it depends. Like some things are more predictable than others, but like humans and software developers are no exception to that. Are terrible at estimations. We always underestimate things, right? So planning software work is very difficult. Um, so we just have to acknowledge that first and say, well, that's just the role. And like as a role, you're trying to, I know, manage external stakeholders that have been made promises with this world of complexity, and that's always a difficult thing to be in. Um, and I think it's still true that if you just have a high autonomy, highly autonomous environment when there's no alignment, people will chase after their pet projects and they build castles in the clouds, which are beautiful to build. Like and software developers, and I've been one, so I can say that like we love to get rid of other people's code and just start over. Like it's just fun to do, and but it's not always the thing that's best for business.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm the same with spreadsheets.
yeah,
Uh, as a failed accountant and someone who's grown up with spreadsheets since I was 18, every time someone sends me a spreadsheet, I'm like, it grates on me that they've done it the way they've done it,
yeah, yeah,
not the way that works for me. And I know that the same happens when I'll send some spreadsheets. That's as close as I get to coding these days.
yeah,
And it is that thing of, oh, this should be done properly. And you can easily get rid of a lot of time just doing it properly or
yeah,
creating your own after the back of it. I'm a devil for doing that. But
yeah,
it's I can see that auto because I saw you. I think it was it today or yesterday you shared a little picture um, from your book.
Yeah,
Um, was it Henrik Knieburg's
yeah,
where you've got those high alignment. I think it's a really nice diagram, and
yeah,
I'll see if I can put a link to it in the show notes if I don't forget. That whole thing of I don't know if you even talk through it.
sure.
That
Yeah,
idea of how things happen when you've got that higher alignment and high autonomy,
yeah.
or low and low and
Yeah,
high,
yeah,
etc.
yeah. I'll talk you through it. So if you're listening, not looking at the diagram, and it wasn't it Hendrik Nieberg who is famous for producing the Spotify model videos that are on YouTube. Yeah, like really interesting cartoon-like diagram with where he shares all sorts of principles on Spotify's engineering culture, and it's also famous. It's all that model is also famous for being butchered by consultants and being sold as snake oil right now, but still, if you go back to the original content, it's still inspirational and useful to take as an example. And so one part of that video, and I used it. I asked him for permission to use it in my book. He shares a 2x2 diagram. On one axle it's autonomy. On one axle it's alignment, and goes from low to high. So, like I said earlier, like go ahead.
I'm gonna I'm gonna stop you there, and for our people who are watching this, I'm gonna try and because I've got it on my screen
Oh
here.
yeah,
I'm gonna try sharing it. This is an experiment here, and then you can when you're talking to it, people can see it then.
yeah,
And those who can't will have to get um, have a look at the picture. But there, try that. Yeah, I mean, talk it through. This
yeah,
is exciting. I'm doing new stuff on this podcast.
yeah. I think if you zoom in, it's even more clear. I don't know if you can zoom in your browser, but still pretty far away.
Oh,
Otherwise, I can share it. I think I have a full screen version of the picture as well. Oh yeah, yeah. Um,
try zooming in.
you can cut this out, right? This, yeah. Oh, that zooming will work. This will work. Yeah. Scroll a little bit down now. You'll be able. Oh, scroll outside of the little box. Yeah. You move your mouse to the.
Uh,
Yeah.
because I've got it in Amazon, I think.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find the picture and put it full screen.
Oh well.
Because I can share my screen as well. Yeah, here it is. Got it. So if you stop sharing, I can start sharing.
I'll try and fix that, or I might leave it in for the bloopers, just so people know it's real.
Yeah, okay. All right, so here's the diagram full screen.
Oh, thank you.
So 2x2 diagram, as I said. Autonomy and alignment on two axles going from low to high. So the situation we talked about earlier, which is the one where people are just moving into all sorts of directions, is... Oh no, I actually go top left first because it's more clear in this picture. All right, so a high alignment but low autonomy situation means there's a boss here, like a pointy-haired boss, almost from Dilbert. He tells the engineers, we need to cross the river, you must build a bridge. All right, so they'll go out and build a bridge. The opposite is high autonomy, low alignment, which is people just being super happy and running in all sorts of directions. And the manager is thinking, I hope someone is working on the river problem, right?
Sounds
So
like
yeah, you just hope and don't talk to people, but then just don't let them be, and hopefully somebody is solving your business problem, which probably is not the case. And then in a high autonomy and high alignment version of that is the manager is clear and says, we need to cross the river, but without prescribing the solution, they say, figure out how. And that's ultimately what you hope will happen, that these people have enough understanding of the objective and they have enough craftsmanship to be able to solve that problem in all sorts of ways. And if in the video they actually showed even different versions of that, it could be building a bridge, but maybe it could also be making a tunnel, or maybe they can just create a in Dutch we say veerpont, so that's like a boat service going from one side of the river to the other side all the time.
ferry.
Yeah, ferry. Yeah, there's lots of different solutions to this business problem,
Use
and
it, isn't it? Could just launch people with
yeah,
a cat.
exactly. Yeah, so that's what this is about. It's about giving teams the autonomy to solve the business problems that you tell them they must solve. That's ultimately high autonomy and high alignment.
So I have a number of sponsors, affiliate links in the way that it's set up that have kindly allowed me to share their services, really. The first one is Mike Clayton, and Mike runs online PM courses, and it is a great resource for getting those fundamentals of project management trained, reasonably priced, and Mike presents it in an accessible and clear manner. You can check out some of his videos on his YouTube channel and kind of give you a view of where they are. But the code for that, if you go to nigelcreaser.com/online PM courses, all one word, lowercase, that'll redirect you to it. There's very different levels that you can buy. You can buy individual courses, you can buy pathways as well, if you like. And I get a kickback off those. Mike kindly shares me that. So if you do jump on and use it, I hope you find it really useful. I think he has money back guarantees and things like that as well. So there's very limited risk on that. So jump on that, and that again, it's nigelcreaser.com/online PM courses, and enjoy.
In project management, we face a common problem. The plan differs from reality. It leads to undesirable consequences, such as failure to deliver a project on time, financial loss, loss of customer and management trust, and many others. Why does it happen? The reasons may be different, but the most common among them are mistakes during the planning phase, uncoordinated teamwork, lack of information on the project progress. In Gantt Pro, we have thought through all the details to minimize these risks, both at the planning and implementation phases. At the planning phase, you save your time. Gantt Pro is an intuitive tool. In 10 minutes, you and your team will manage projects skillfully. Create a detailed and visual plan that answers what and when questions at any stage of your project. Minimize the risks of overdue tasks. Cut expenses by assigning resources like budget, time, and labor cost. You'll take into account all the constraints in advance. Planning is our strength, but we also made Gantt Pro an ideal tool to use at the implementation phase. At the implementation phase, you invite your team in the already created project and start working without any delay and confusion. Spend less time on meetings and discussions. Avoid overdue tasks and expectations. Everyone receives notifications about the workflow and gets other means for organized teamwork. Evenly distribute workload and avoid employees over-allocation. Get information on possible risks in advance and remove them timely. Have at-hand information on the project progress. Keep track of its high-level status and even project portfolios. Also, Gantt Pro gives a possibility to share your project with customers and clients at any stage, both for pre-sale and demonstration of the current state. Export reports to popular formats, keep documentation and communication around tasks in real time. With Gantt Pro, you always know when a project ends, how many resources are needed, who is working on what, and identify risks of overdue tasks at early stages. Plan with Gantt Pro, professionally and easily.
Well, it's goodbye from me, Nigel Creaser, and it's goodbye from him, the Sunday Lunch PM. Goodbye.